Thoughts of Taiwan. I'm Eric Gao. Thanks for joining us for the news. A search team is combing a mountain trail in Hualien looking for a Singaporean couple who have been missing since last week's magnitude 7.2 earthquake. As that search continues, the body of a missing minor was recovered on Saturday morning. The earthquake is now known to have killed 17 people. 5 suspects face charges for the kidnapping and murder of a Vietnamese migrant worker. The suspects are accused of luring the worker, holding them captive, and extorting a ransom of about $8,000 from their family. They then allegedly suffocated the worker and hid the body in a sugarcane field. Police arrested the suspects, 4 Vietnamese and 1 Taiwanese, on Wednesday. They are asking the court to deny bail due to concerns that the suspects may try to escape or destroy evidence. The suspected suicide of a judge who had talked about being overworked has led to calls for reform in Taiwan's legal system. Though investigators have not named a cause of death, they have ruled out the idea that the judge could have been pushed from an upper floor of his dormitory. The judicial branch of Taiwan's government has promised to offer counseling to judges who want it. But legal reform advocates want other measures, like caps on caseloads and less administrative work.
双方都不上诉，判决书一定要写那么多吗？譬如说有法官助理。 难道不能把法官的心证告诉助理，助理拟出来以后我再改，不行吗？把重要的事情交给法官，而不要减轻他一些不必要的负荷。
Taiwan has thanked the U.S., Japan, and the Philippines after those 3 countries called for peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait during a recently concluded summit in Washington. Ed Moon reports.
U.S. President Joe Biden here meeting with his Japanese and Philippine counterparts at a historic meeting. One where he promised that the US would defend these Asian allies in the face of rising Chinese aggression. But this show of unity did not go down well in Beijing.
美日非峰会和3边合作究竟是不是针对中国？看看3方发表的联合声明，白纸黑字，再清楚不过了。这不是针对中方的肆意抹黑攻击，又是什么？
In both Manila and Tokyo, leaders grow uneasy as China pushes its territorial claims. Here, in the South China Sea, Chinese Coast Guard has been blasting Philippine boats with water cannons.
And I want to be clear, the United States defense commitments to Japan and to the Philippines are ironclad. They're ironclad. As I've said before, any attack on Philippine aircraft, vessels, or armed forces in the South China Sea would invoke our Mutual Defense Treaty.
At the summit's end, a joint statement from the 3 leaders mentioning Taiwan, another target of Chinese territorial ambitions in the region. Taiwan, which relies on the US for the weapons it needs to counter the China threat, responded positively to the summit. We highly welcome and appreciate this first trilateral statement by the leaders of the United States, Japan, and the Philippines on their firm position on cross-strait peace and stability. The meeting sends a clear signal that the US is determined to protect the status quo in this ever more turbulent region.
The defense environment in Asia will constantly be changing, so we should always continue to have those discussions. But what we can commit to right now and confirm, I think, for the long term, is the messaging around the strength of and resiliency of our alliances, partnerships, and friendships.
New alliances and fresh commitments like those agreed in Washington resonate throughout the Asia-Pacific. But for now, there are no signs China will be backing down. Andy Sher, Jaime Ocon, and Ed Moon for TaiwanPlus.
Thailand has warned Myanmar not to violate its sovereignty. That's as junta forces were run out of a key border town. Rick Lau reports.
Another tense night on the Thailand-Myanmar border. As Thai security forces patrol their territory, anti-junta troops on the other side are routing Myanmar soldiers from a nearby town. Thousands of Myanmar people have poured into Thailand, worried that the embattled junta will retaliate against rebel gains with airstrikes. It's now just over 3 years since Myanmar's generals seized power in a coup, ousting the country's elected leaders and plunging the country deeper into civil war. Now, though, pro-democracy militias are gaining ground across the country. In recent months, the junta have lost control of vast swathes of land and key economic thoroughfares. This loss of the main hub of trade with Thailand is another big blow.
So every major backbone of the economy is gone. So if there is no, if the military is not financially able to secure, if they're not financially very strong, how can they buy, sophisticated, advanced military weapons to retaliate?
As the country's economy continues to nosedive, the people of Myanmar suffer. Inflation is through the roof and many towns and villages are cut off by fighting, leaving residents to rely on farming and foraging to get by. And as violence reaches the border with Thailand, the calls for peace talks are getting louder.
ตอนนี้สิ่งที่เราคอนเซิร์นมากที่สุดก็คืออยากจะเห็นความสงบเกิดขึ้นในเมียวดีนะครับไม่ใช่เพราะว่าเรามีการค้าขายอย่างเดียวนะครับแต่เป็นประเทศเพื่อนบ้านเราก็ไม่ประสงค์ที่อยากจะให้มีความรุนแรงเกิดขึ้นแล้วก็ถ้าสามารถที่จะพูดคุยกันได้เนี่ยในกลุ่มของเขากันเองเนี่ยเราก็จะมีความยินดีมากแล้วถ้าเราจะให้เราเป็นคนกลางเนี่ยเราก็พร้อมนะครับที่จะประสานงานให้นะครับ
This latest in a string of humiliating defeats for the junta is a definite boost for those who oppose their rule. But as the generals continue to cling onto power, it is the people of Myanmar who are paying the cost, their lives upended by war. Andy Shuer and Rick Lauert for TaiwanPlus.
High-ranking Chinese official Zhao Leji is in North Korea to boost ties now that Pyongyang has lifted pandemic restrictions. The two neighbors have long shared a close relationship with the United States, a common rival. Both sides have declared 2024 a year of friendship, marking 75 years of diplomatic ties. According to state media, during their meeting on Thursday, Zhao and his North Korean counterpart discussed strengthening exchanges and cooperation. China sees millions of divorces every year. One man is working to turn these broken marriages into something positive. Royal Hughes reports.
For Liu Wei, heartbreak is big business. His factory in northern China crushes old wedding photos and turns them into fuel.
那么除了这个婚纱照，其实我们还会销毁，有的恋人分手，他的这个合影也会处理，还有一些就是朋友的合影，还有去世的人，有很多去世的人，他的这个合影呢。 家人可能出于这个一些自家的一些目的吧，或者说决定吧，也要把他的一些遗物在我们这儿进行销毁。
In China, divorce rates have skyrocketed, just as marriage and birth rates plunged to record lows. Once the world's most populous country, China has seen its population fall for 2 years. These trends worry Beijing, and officials are now doing what they can to promote starting families.
希望广大妇女振奋龙马精神，发挥半边天作用，为推进中国式现代化做出经国贡献。
But there are at least some Chinese women who aren't impressed with these efforts.
很多女性她们其实先算了一下数学题嘛，好像结婚没有那么划算，那我们就先不要结婚。另外就是自己其实。 这个时代自己把自己活得很好，也是蛮辛苦的事情了。
And his factory owner Liu Wei knows, even for couples that do make it down the aisle, there is no guarantee of success. By his estimates, he has served over 1,000 clients, most of them women. The old photos are delivered to the factory, and Liu carefully paints over the faces of couples before the photos are crushed. Some clients even come to watch the destruction for themselves.
其实还真没有很多说出于恶意，其实大家拿这个出口气的不多，其实都是为了解脱自己，以解脱自己的心结为主。
For Liu and his thousands of customers, divorce is a chance for a fresh start. And with old photos turned into fuel, all that energy that went into failed relationships won't be going to waste. Alex Chen and Royal Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Faced with a declining birth rate and a brain drain, Taiwan's government is trying to encourage Taiwanese tech talent abroad to come back. But these recruitment efforts have not met expectations. Wesley Lewis has the story.
Class is in session. Taiwanese universities like this one are offering more and more science and technology courses. But that's not enough to meet the country's demand for talented workers. the government has been working to attract Taiwanese with the necessary skills back from overseas. But those efforts haven't met expectations. Over the past 4 years, the country's National Science Council has spent a staggering $12.4 million on a STEM recruitment program to attract Taiwanese talent residing overseas. But since its launch, only 131 people have returned, with fewer than 100 actually staying. Despite failing to attract citizens living abroad, universities say they've successfully recruited foreign students. The STEM recruitment program implemented in 2020 has only recruited a small number of people, and in a recent legislative debate, an opposition Kuomintang legislator said the results were less than ideal.
结果我们4年花了4亿多回台，那时候我们就质疑这样的这个有效性，只留下了97个人。你真的还是觉得我们人才、揽才、育才达到你当初所认为的规划方向吗？
The program's lackluster results have become a hot-button issue regarding government spending. One NGO that bridges international and Taiwanese institutions says that overseas recruitment programs often struggle to convey their initiatives to their target audiences.
When it's internationally facing programs, sometimes it's not necessarily the best marketed or even actively marketed sometimes. So a lot of times the effectiveness of a lot, of people being informed about this is actually very, very low sometimes.
Without proper promotion, government-funded recruitment initiatives may struggle to reach their quotas. The National Science Council has recently launched a doctoral scholarship program to address the issue of understaffed Taiwanese universities. But with their track record on recruiting talent, the council is under increasing pressure to prove that their funds aren't going down the drain. Devin Tai and Wesley Lewis for TaiwanPlus.
People in Taiwan's urban areas are buying smaller houses. According to a local real estate firm, 19% of all apartments sold last year in the capital Taipei had just one room. That's up 15% from 2019. But smaller homes are on the rise in other urban centers too, with studio apartments accounting for around 10% of homes sold last year in New Taipei and in Taichung. The real estate agency says high prices and less need for room due to fewer children are the main reason for the downsizing. A ban on feeding Taipei's stray dogs is dividing residents. Chris Gorin has this report.
In Taiwan, stray dogs are everywhere, even in the capital, Taipei, where packs roam an extensive network of riverside parks. Locals have mostly learned to live with them, but a new city ordinance announced in January bans feeding these dogs, and that's got some animal rights advocates up in arms.
我们很伤心很难过，希望台北市政府公园处你们撤回这条。
我们是在帮政府解决问题，不是在制造问题，所以请大家真的能够支持，我们不要禁止喂养。
But supporters of the ban say feeding stray dogs can be risky.
他们如果只有喂，然后根本就没有管理，那就会造成后续的问题，狗跟猫从路边冲出来，造成人家车祸，或者是有些狗会追人追车，导致人受伤。那请问是谁要负责？
The number of stray dogs in Taiwan has been growing since 2017, when euthanasia was outlawed. That's led to more attacks on some of Taiwan's endangered species, including grass owls, pangolins, and leopard cats. Researchers say that more needs to be done to keep stray dog populations under control.
野外或民众通报，看到没有系绳的浪狗，就应该要想办法把它抓起来，然后移置。不应该再让它放在野外，因为野外是野生动物栖息的地方，尤其是珍贵保育类动物。
With the ordinance just a few months old, it will still take some time to see its effects. But with supporters and opponents firmly in their camps, controversy over the rule shows no signs of going away. Devin Tsai and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. And before we go, take a glimpse at the underwater world off the Philippines. I'm Eric Gao. Take care, and we'll see you next time.